Masachet Menahot Daf Chav Chet Amud Aleph, 2 lines down. Amar Mor V'shebefnim v'shebemitzvah. The sprinkling is done inside the hechal or for the mitzvah oil. Shelo lishman pizlov, down at the right purpose is pasul. Shelo mechuvanot kishar, the wrong location, yani not towards the entrance of the hechal, it's kasher. But Tanya, it says ben shelo lishman ben shelo mechuvanot kasher, to either or is kasher. Amar Avi said like kasher on sira. How did the Ezra Habran? It's machoket. The Ezra makish Hashem lechatat. Ezra makes a hekesh between Hashem and Hatat. Just like the Hashem, it's not done correctly, it's pasul. Makish nami log l'Hashem, he also compares the log of an oil to an Hashem. Ran Lamakshi and Chachamim do not make that hekesh, and that's why it's kasher. According to Be'ezer, v'chidavar hamid be'hekesh, hausulam be'hekesh. 1 second. If you learned the Hashem from a hekesh, how can you then use that hekesh to teach you for this case of the Misra, where it says, both Hamim. Kan nachshir. In the second case, where it says kasher, is regarding the actual korban's kasher. In the first case, which says pasul, that the owner does not get a credit for the korban. New Mishnah. Shiva kine menorah, the 7 branches of the menorah. The menorah Bet HaMikdash had 7 branches. Ma'akvin zeh zeh, they are all required for each other. Missing one, no problem. Shiva neroteh ma'akvin zeh zeh, the 7 lamps on top of the menorah are required. Shte perashiyot mimuzah ma'akvot, the 2 parts of the mizah written are required for each other. Right? The 2 ones are Shema and Vayam Shemoah. Afilu katav echad ma'akvan, even the letter, one letter being missed is ruin the whole, both passages, both parts. Arba parashat shebetefillin ma'akvin zezu, the 4 parts of tefillin are required. Afilu katav echad ma'akvan, even one letter is messed up, it ruins the whole thing. Arba sisiyot ma'akvot bezu, the 4 tzitzit at the garment also are required. Sheba'atan mitzvah achad, all 4 are considered one mitzvah. Each set of strings in the 4 corners of the garment is a separate mitzvah. Why are the 7 branches of menorah required? Havaya k'tibu, because the word haya is mentioned there. The menorah would be built from a single block of material. Min zahav has to be gold. Asa min ha-geruta, if you made it pieces of gold, pasul. Any type of metal, kisharatz kasher. Why is gold scraps pasul? Titiv miksha v'havaya. Mentions it should be in a block. That's the case. It shouldn't be able to be gold. Zahav v'havia is also mentioned in gold, then it should be. So it should only be gold, and anything else pasul. The Gemara says, Amakra pasul says, Te'aseha, you shall make it. Rabot she'amin mitachod, you can make it out of anything. Maybe that's the case, including also even scraps. Why you need a block? The Gemara says, looks like that can't be the imeh kasher kativ havia, because when it mentions being, it also mentions hammering it out. But also by making it also mention that therefore it should also be scraps to be okay. The Gemara says, mentions it twice to hammer it out, which means the block is required. The Gemara says, also the gold is required. The Gemara says, what would you say? It makes sense. I mean, it's pieces of gold are pasul. Other pieces of metal are kasher. I know that would be a reason. Zahav. Mikshah. That's why it mentions gold twice and hammer it out twice. The Dashat teach you for extra things. If you want something that scraps of gold are kasher, other scraps of metal are pasul. Zahav, mikshah, what do we learn from these extra words? The Gemara says, what is the problem? Time but says, Kikars, what do we learn from it? Kikars have tahor, Pasuk says, a kikar of pure gold, which is around 1,500 ounces. A lot of money, especially nowadays pricing. By the time you read this, it's probably up another $7,000 of gold. $1,500, 15 ounces of gold. You shall make the menorah. Ba'azahav out of gold, ba'a kikar, it has to be out of kikar of weight. Ina ba'azahav, ina ba'a kikar. If it's not out of gold, not out of kikar, it's not required. It's okay. There's different pieces of the menorah. There's many pieces like looks like many cups, many knobs, and many flowers. These are all ornaments in the Mizbeach. Ba'azahav, if you have gold, and then you can make it into the cups, knobs, and flowers. Ina ba'azahav, if it's not out of gold. You don't need the flowers, cups, and knobs. Maybe you should also say, if it's out of gold, you also have the branches. Without the gold. You don't have the 7 branches. The word says, no. If there's no branches, then it's a candlestick. It's not a menorah. Gemara says, "Bezeh ma'aseh menorah mikshah zahav." This is the making of the menorah, hammered out gold. Ba'azahav mikshah has to be out of gold and out of block. And a ba'azahav and a mikshah if it's not out of gold, you don't need to be hammered out. It can be scraps. Gemara says, "Makshah is This is why you have the second time it says hammered out." Gemara says, "The ma'ute has to teach you the trumpets of Moshe are not needed for that halacha of single block." Tell you what it says. Hasisrot hayuba imina aishit mina kesef. The trumpets of Moshe were made from a single block of metal from silver. Asa amina kritoot kishkim if made them scraps silver they be kasher. Misham minim atocho pasul any other metal pasul. Umashna misham minim atocho pasul. Why is other metals are pasul? Titiv kesef vahavia mentions it should be gold silver. Mina kritoot nami all the scraps. Misham vahavia also mentions hammered out and being. This is Rahmanam Gabenura. So Miyat Rahmanam Gabenura we see that it's required by excluding by the menorah. But menorah says mikshahi. He only the menorah has to be a single scrap block and not the trumpets. Gemara says, and we're done. Kol all the vessels. Amud bet. She'asa Moshe that Moshe created. Kishrim lo, they're good for him. Kishrim and also for future generations. However, the trumpets he made should only for him. Not for the next generations. Why the trumpets not? Either because the pasuk I said lecha for you, lecha which means not for you, not for future generations. That's the case. V'asiti lecha aron es. It's also the aron. Ha namid the lecha only the arons for only Moshe, not future. It definitely was not. So what's the proof? Ella must be ilamanda amar lecha mishalcha. According to the opinion, it says that when he says that make the trumpets for you, it means from your funds. Ilamanda amar kivechol, or even says that Moshe Hashem told Moshe as if I prefer your money more than the community money. Still, we need to know where it only means for Moshe and not trumpets. Where it says Shani Atamona over there is different. That more trumpet says lecha lecha therefore mentions for you twice. Aseh lecha v'hayu lecha should be for yourself, meaning we learn from these pesukim that the trumpets of Moshe were only for his usage and not for future future generations. Menorah hayta ba'ad menorah made mina aishit min zahav block of metal material and it has to be a gold. Asal shall kasef if it's silver was kasher. Shaba'as if it's tin. Shall ever lead. Shall gis teron or cheap metal. Rabbi Yida machshir is kasher. And Rabbi Yasir machshir. Shall ice wood. Shall ice lemon bone. Shall heat glass. Rabbi Yaakov slay every grease pasol. What's the reasoning? What's the reason to say yes some and yes and no to some? Marley says Ben Mor, Kale Prati Drashi, they both learn the Kla Pratu Kla, which means when the Pasuk says including word, a excluding word, and including. Miu Morzavar, Riasi holds, Ma Prat Mifresh, the specified word is specifying metal. Of course, therefore anything metal is kasher, including tin and lead. Morzavar, others says no. Ma Prat Mifresh, like something the gold is mentioning something valuable. Of course, so anything valuable. So 10 and letter are excluded. He says, erase what you said and say what I say. Tamar says, vessels are made of wood. Rabbi Pozar says pasul. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Machshir. Rabbi Yosef says kasher. ما في فلوس ما خذ ربي درش كلا براتي بس يقول ده درش ربو ميعود ربي learns كلا براتو كلا and Rabbi learns ربو ميعود. We'll go through each one. Rabbi dash كلا براتي Rabbi learns كلا and brat. That's the menorah cloth. Sounds like we make the menorah any menorah. Zahav tahor then it specifies prat as pure gold. Mikshah then it says hammered out. Te'aseh menorah chazar kol another generalization. Kla prat cloth you have a generalized specification, just generalization. Yet then el prat you only learn the halakha which is similar to specification which is gold. Ma prat mufurash like the specified is metal, yani gold. Of course, any metal is kasher. Yosef Rida there is ribui mi'ut. Yosef learn a different way of learning Torah, which is inclusions and exclusions. Make a menorah, including anything. Zahav that are excluded, miyat is limited to the gold. Make sure menorah is included again by saying it's hammered out. Once it's included, includes all. What does it mean including all? Includes all. What's excluded? Earthenware is excluded. No. I like my version better. That can't be. Temperate says, and those have the guy that no someone has no gold to make the mineral. Maybe afshel kesef v'shana choshet. You could bring even a silver or copper mineral. Shabbat silver shabbat dilu shabbat oferet. Iron, tin, or lead. Yosef machshir afshel. It's the reason says even wood. You say either it says le'achadam by tabnit echal. A person should not make a house in the shape of the hechal. And I don't make the same measurements. Or like a hallway that looks like the Bet HaMikdash chamber. Chaser Keneged Azra, or a courtyard that looks like the Bet HaMikdash. Chaser Shulchan Keneged Shulchan, a table similar to the Shulchan of the Bet HaMikdash. Menorah Keneged Menorah, like the Bet HaMikdash Menorah. Right, ours is 8. That's why it's different. I'll say who, but he can make Shahamisha Shisha Shmone. He can make a menorah out of 5, 6, or 8, like we do. We have 8. Vishal Shiva, let's say, but they'll make 7. A few Shemar need to hold even any metal. Reason let's say you shouldn't make wood like the Dash metal menorah of 7. That's what the Hashmonaim made after they expelled the Greeks after the war on Hanukkah for Hanukkah. They made a wood menorah. Amrullah the Hamid said to them, Mishamara, you can't bring proof. They used metal spits of iron because they had no money. And then when they had more money, they got tin. Because they got wealthier, they made silver. They made gold. You see, wood is kasher according to 2 opinions. Stop here.